Namaskaram everyone. Today we're going to talk about a very specific topic which has been really in our society for more than a decade, I would say, and it is really causing too much pain and suffering for many human beings. And it is one of those chronic diseases which I'm going to talk about today. It's none other than it's cancer. So there could be many scientific name or in medical terminology. I'm not getting to that. I'm just simply putting it into perspective so that we can understand what could be the yogic perspective in order to understand the cancer. And is there any permanent treatment or permanent solution for the people, those who are going through this dangerous disease, and which is really it's a chronic, I would say it's a deadly. And it is not for only, this video is not going to for only for those who are suffering from this disease, but also it's for us, those who don't want to get into that thing, and how we can avoid, and what are the things we can do in our own life every single day, no matter what level we are and what exactly lifestyle we are following in. Because so in that entire thing, I'm going to refer the book, a book called Cancer, a Yogic Perspective, which has been written by Sadhguru by Isha Foundation in back in the days in 2015. So I'm going to little bit refer about that book. This book basically it talks about how the ancient yogic tradition, in another word, the Sanatana Dharma, how we have been treating these diseases and how we have been, because this is not something new, it has been in the past as well. Probably the medical terminology and the scientific names were not discovered by then. But it was totally different. But it doesn't mean this is something new. These kind of chronic diseases were also there, but there was, of course, unknown by something else, as you know. So how we can, in order to, so what are the things you can ask me, like kind of roadmap we need to follow, and it's going to help us. So the very first thing we need to understand what is health, because if we don't understand the meaning of health, then we are going to get it completely wrong. Meaning that health, the word came from the whole. Whole means is a complete. So whole is a root word. So essentially, health means having your overall, you know, well balanced in between the your body, mind, and the energy we have. So it's not like only one thing. I'm going to the gym. I'm bulging my muscle. No, it has to be involvement of every single things which I mentioned: mind, body, and energy. Because there is a physical, mental, and spiritual three dimensions are there. Even though for most of our spiritual dimension is really close to impossible to access because we are not leaning into that part. Our lifestyle, the way we are living, has changed significantly in past couple of decades. So I'm not getting into that. For example, how health is related. Why I'm asking this? Because health is definitely, if you understand the meaning of health, the very first thing comes is called the prevention. So we can prevent that to happen up to a certain extent, because if something goes wrong, medically, and then yes, of course, we have to reach out to the hospital. We need to take the medical, uh, assessment, and there's a treatment process. So, but all we can do is for us and for our loved ones that we can skip this and how we can avoid, because in the medical today's medical science, they do not have the permanent treatment or permanent cure for diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, migraines. So these are like these diseases are also lifelong diseases, but not chronic that much, the way we have something like cancer. Think about that. If I'm not saying medical science has improved a lot in past, few centuries, which is because of that our lifespan has enhanced predominantly all across the world right now. But when it comes to the permanent cure for diseases like cancer, then we have to go back to the all the way to our roots, our ancient roots, where our ancestors they knew it. They were really advanced. They're really smart people, and they discovered these things, and they also predicted such kind of times, may come in the future. So because of that, they started writing, the books, the scriptures, and then the ancient, the mythology we have, and then other shastras we have. So in India, basically in Sanatana Dharma, you will find it for every single thing. It starts from the Artha Shastra, then you can go to all the way to Yoga Sutras. Everything has been written down. There was a specific reason our sages, rishis, munis, they have written them down because it's going to be helpful for the upcoming future generation. And because, Shruti and Smriti has to go with, hand in hand. So that's why these proofs or this literature part was also there. So basically, even specific disease is primarily predominant in most affluent nation in the world, countries like America. Other countries are also in the queue, but something was really bothering me and lingering in mind was why it has been impacting India in a big way, like diabetes and cancer. These are the two things they're really impacting in a big way. We have to go back to the basics, and we need to pay attention. We need to analyze what exactly went wrong and what exactly still we are doing wrong, that these numbers are going high. You have to. So in this book, basically Sadhguru never claimed that yoga can absolutely cure the cancer. No. If you are thinking like that, no. So he said, based on the yoga tradition, like how they treat the disease in a different way than the medical science, because medical science, they try to they try to treat the disease, but in yoga they try to treat the body and treat the energy, so that they can change the direction, the paradigm changed, and slowly body have that space, so the body can come up with its immunity, and when the energy flows, then it can happens. So, of course, next thing comes basically why it happens. So during that, there was an interview with Dr. AC Goodat in conversation with the Duke University of Medical Schools back in the days in 2015, or I guess somewhere. So she has been also significantly contributed to the cancer treatment process. So she had a talk with Guru, and she was asking all these kinds of questions. And then he also, put up his perspective how in the yogic science, how it has been already addressed in the past, and how still there is a way people are getting cured by this. So there are many people came from the specifically West, and they even from India, and then went through the treatment process. It's basically not a treatment because they go through the practices, yoga, I can say yogic treatment process, and they basically followed some exercises, yoga, lifestyle, eating habits. So it's a residential program. They have to stay in the ashram, which they did, and after a couple of weeks, when they return home, they feel like it's really working, and their pranamaya kosha, that means the energy body, is more vibrant than when they came for the treatment. So it's basically the various aspects: psychology, genetics, lifestyle, diet, and so on. I mean, because it's not like, so here's the disagreement with the modern science, because they only treat the disease, its cause, and then they try to mitigate, they try to put a roadblock so that it cannot expand more. But this is it's not even closer to the permanent treatment, if you know what I mean. So because there are other dimensions which was also mentioned in our Ayurveda, Siddha Vidya, that they're also taking care of the psychology, they're also taking care of the lifestyle, diet. They're also paying attention to the genetics of that particular individual, which is, of course, is not there in the allopathy because it's primarily based on the the cause and effect. So in yoga, they treat based on the manamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, and annamaya kosha, vignamaya kosha. These are basically different bodies: energy body, food body, psychological body. So that's why they have a different, the process to follow, so that every single thing it get addressed, and then you get the holistic result when they follow the holistic approach. At the end of the day, yeah, it's not like treating only one single thing and giving the chemotherapy. It's not going to work, because you probably, it's not probably, now it's proven, you are certainly, damaging those good cells at the specific areas in order to kill those cancer cells. So the question arises, why it's even happening in a big way in today's society, all across the world, not in India or America. It's happening everywhere. Because we have to understand, in past, probably in past century, in past, yeah, 100 years, probably in past century, we have changed our eating habits, our lifestyle, our entire living in a very, very dramatic way, which basically, in another word, we are going against the nature of that body. Meaning that it's not like we are living in a, most comfortable and convenient way in the big cities. But at the same time, we are going so away from the nature. Many of us not even touching the soil in maybe in a month. So think about it, how our body is becoming, is losing so many good benefits. Even though if you can walk barefoot for, a couple of minutes every single day on soil, it's not direct impact. So there are so many, indirect results we get out of it. And it's all about how conscious we are. It's not mumbo jumbo. Many people will feel like superstitions of mumbo jumbo, because they feel like science is happening only in the lab when someone is discovering some medicine or vaccine. It's not. It's way more than that. If you pay attention, if you come to get out of your house, maybe going to a small trail, or maybe looking at the tree, or maybe you have the plants in your house, look at them and try to put your hand inside that flower top you have. So you'll understand that there is so much intelligence more than this my brain in the nature. So we have to take advantage of all these things, rather than calling, everything like anxiety, irritation, I have an allergy, all kinds of excuses. No, we should go out. If we expose ourselves more into the nature, then the things we have, these are roadblocks, eventually will try to, these kind of challenges, and we can come up with. So there is a Marcela Lopez. She basically, she was a patient, a cancer patient from America, and then she had a regular visit with her doc, and then she also got connected with the Asia practices. So what happened is, she was suffering from thyroid cancer. So her doctor basically, I don't know, her doctor was probably aware of meditation, yoga, or something, which is very rare to, having such kind of suggestions from today's doctor. So he said, your cancer is mind cancer, meaning that is less in the body, more in your mind. So what you need, you can give it a break, and you can go through, some meditation, maybe, which can give you some sort of, your body and mind can get relaxed. So I mean, she got connected with the Isha Foundation, and then she went through some Isha practices, and then after that, she came after, I guess, like I said, 2 weeks, and then she she ran her blood test and everything, and then that showed that there is a, globulin level has dropped down very significantly, and her, by saying that, her doc was really, really surprised, and he was so much intrigued about that. He wanted to know how does exactly it happen. And then she said it's meditation. She said it's Isha, Sadhguru. And then I think she had a meeting with Sadhguru, and then, yeah, Doc was also there. So essentially, it's about the practice basically, you know, brought not only health improvement, but also the happiness and the overall harmony in her life. So that kind of balance is needed. So, like I said, we three things we need to pay attention to: mind, body, and energy. Energy becomes the prana, which is moving through the body, which is keeping us going throughout the day. So prana has to be moved throughout the body. If not, if let's say certain area in our body, because our lifestyle has become so sedentary that we became a couch potato, and then everything went to watch Netflix, having chips, all kinds of things, and cheeseburger, and then not going outside. Everything went to see on the screen, the forest, the nature, everything went to explore here, not physically going out, and this is the main big problem because it's become a so big deal now that this is the one of the main reasons that significantly in the young generation the rise of cancer, diabetes is spiking like anything. And so that essentially when energy gets stopped in a certain area in our body, like throughout the body we have, see, everybody we have the cancer cells, but it is like that when we are not paying attention and they start getting accumulating in a specific area. That means that specific area, our energy is not passing the way it's supposed to pass, and then things starts getting wrong. And that means what it happens is basically at that specific area our energy is not flowing, we are having a roadblock because this is a good breeding area for the cancer cells, because cancer cells, they're like the criminals we have in our society. Let's say we pickpocketers or some bandits. So if they're individually they're doing here and there some stuff is fine, but when they accumulate, when they gather, when they gang up in 100, 500,000, then it's really dangerous. They can pretty much ruin the entire city or maybe entire state. That means our police, law and order, they have to come into the place. So it's also like that. So take that analogy and put it here. So it is also like that we have a good cell in the body, we have cancer cells. So like as long as our good cell numbers are going up, and then this cancer cell is not going to bring any kind of atrocities to us. But the moment in a specific area of the body that we start paying less attention to that, maybe probably right, or we're not using that muscle tissue, and then energy starts getting slowing down, we have more lethargy, the inertia is getting produced in that space, and then slowly it's a breeding point for the cancer cell. And what exactly it's happening primarily in the case of breast cancer, because you have to understand, in India, if you go to the ancient India, you will see that people, usually the girls that used to get married at the age of 16 or 18, and then throughout their the menstrual cycle up to 40, 45 day, and they have, I mean, they have to go through several times. They will, I mean, throughout the process they will be pregnant or they're growing, bringing the baby. So the same process is going on, and there was so much physical activity throughout the day because it was a rural India. I mean, people used to live in the rural village, and then so much physically active. So uh, of course, the energy level flow in the body was really, really appropriate. That's why we did not have such kind of diseases in the past. It's not like our people were not aware of, but they are aware of. They're significantly, they were too much conscious than our generation, and they have been using the body in a next level. But what is happening today, because of all kinds of globalization, and then the lifestyle has changed, and because of that, once it got changed, then you can't do anything because you have to, it's a like go with this. There is a material aspect to it, and then people, specifically girls, they now these days you will be, it's very common to getting married after 35, sometimes 40. So it's basically it became a norm. So you have to understand the body, even though in our psychological mind we have prepared, but we haven't prepared our body in a such a way. If we had to get married after 35, 40, then this is fine, but we need to also take care of the natural hormones, the natural the enzymes we have in the body, how we are going to manage them. Is there any other way we can direct them? Yes, there are ways. There are defined and established yogic ways, and there are many siddhas and yoginis. They have done it, so you can also do it. It's not a big deal as long as you're following that kind of lifestyle. Are we committed to do that? Or the first question: are we aware of that thing? Because they feel like it's because there are going to be many. Not only your complication when you want to conceive, or the upcoming baby is coming, it's more than that. By the time you probably have developed so many other diseases, thyroid, diabetes, blood pressure, insulin, all kinds of things. And cancer is one of them. It's just an end result of that. So inevitably it will happen. So this kind of paradigm, lifestyle paradigm, because of this shift, now people are suffering. The cancer cases you will see in the world is rising. So some facts I would like to talk about cancer is, again, it's basically a large group of, like I said, those defective, or you can say these defective cells, they comes together, and sometimes when they become so predominant in a specific area, and they kind of piling up that area, and then they become really, that area become it starts taking a position in the shape of malignant tumors, or sometimes they become into transform into neoplasms, which is again people get, they're having some tumors which are about to burst, something like that. So one of the main reason is like the abnormal cells we have. Like I said, we have a good cell, normal one, and these cancer cell, we can call them abnormal cells. They're calling in medical terms. The rise of these abnormal cells, they grow, certain beyond the boundaries, and which usually causing this kind of atrocities. And these cells can then invade the adjoining parts of the body. Let's say it happened. So that's what you will see when, let's say, for example, if women have breast cancer and then chemotherapy, they're using chemotherapy. So it's from one breast to another breast. It gets, sometimes it transfers from the breast to somewhere else, maybe colon, maybe pancreas, anywhere it's going. So it's something like that. And it, after invading, the adjoining part, it's really is almost impossible to stop that, spreading to other organs. And this process, basically, in medical terms, they call is like metastasis. So, which is again the major cause of the death from the cancer, because when it's attacking your specific area in the body, is okay to tackle that with the help of the modern science. They're doing chemotherapy and other medicines. But when it starts going beyond that body parts, it starts spreading all across the organs, then it's really, really deadly. And this is the main reason that cancer is one of the leading causes of death worldwide. You will be amazed, you will be surprised that cancer is the second leading cause of death in the United States, after heart disease, and its numbers are growing also in India right now. So they predicted. So there was a survey happened in back in the day 2012, and that time they predicted by 2030. I mean 2030, we will be having close to 12 million people will die because of cancer. So let me put it into perspective. For example, we have AIDS. There was a time when people used to get, so was so much concern about AIDS, the HIV virus, AIDS. Then we have tuberculosis, then malaria. If you put them together, the number of deaths we are having, it's way more than in only one disease, which is cancer. So you can think about that, how it is spreading. And this survey report was in 2010, 2012. So I know by now the numbers are very scary. And it is really, 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 really it's a high time that we need to pay attention. It's not about the person, those who are going through and suffering this kind of atrocity. It's about for us as well. We as an individual being, how we can take care of ourselves along with our loved one in the family or in the society probably. So right now, your happiness, peace, and misery, everything is basically is within us, right? And once it starts happening in a constant manner, periodically, rather than happening everything accidentally, that means we have started paying attention to that, and we are becoming more conscious. As simple as it is. When we start doing that, then there is a way. I think we can skip this part. So while these conversations, the guru also have mentioned about there are different tools which common people we can make use out of it. And it's, even though the person who the patient, cancer patient, they can also definitely use out of this tool, but of course by consulting with their physician. So first thing is like, stop pursuing and start expressing. What does it mean by, we are in the mode of like, pursuit of happiness. pursuit of this, pursuit of that, pursuit of wealth, pursuit of career, all kinds of things. We're in the pursuit. I give it a break. If you just think through it, like if you're in pursuit of this, that means you are not living it. You're just keeping it, and for some other day, you know, for some day in the future that you want to leave. That means you will start expressing. So let me give an analogy. Let's say you're doing your 9 to 5 and you started at the age of 20, 25, and you're doing working your ass off through these 65, probably 60s or mid 60s. You got to retire, and then you're gonna take, okay, I'm gonna take vacation, I'm gonna buy a house, then I'm gonna retire now. Probably I have retired. So when you're going to live your life, because by the time this 40, 50 years, you probably developed so many diseases in your body. And if you have done that, so probably you are not physically or medically fit, even the life you want to enjoy, right? The kind of, let's say you want to do scuba diving, you can't do it. If you have a really weak, poor heart, you can't do it. But there are many, people I know. Like one of them is Grant Hancock. Is so people call them pseudo archaeologists, but I think he's one of them. He's beating all these so-called archaeologists. Is now in his 70 and he can still do scuba diving, and he has been scuba diving all across the world, specifically in Indian Peninsula, and then in the South American the region as well. So there are many like there are very less people like him at the age of 70s, 60s. They will be able to do it. So what the analogy is, if you don't express it today, and you're keeping, let's say you saved all your money, like say you made $100 million, sorry, you made a $1 million, let's say, when you retire. $100 million is too much, probably one can make it from the job, and then you want to enjoy that money you want to. So but at the time, if you are already hospitalized, you are already having medical condition, how are you going to enjoy that? Okay, this is the question you need to ask yourself, because somebody says health is wealth. Of course, it is health. Health is the wealth. Because if we don't pay attention to that right now when we are young, then probably we have already started developing such symptoms, which, if you're conscious enough, we can skip them. So start expressing from today itself, rather than keeping and saving everything. It's like that, how you are like the most beautiful moments of our life. Instead of expressing joy through that, you are keeping them, and you are keeping for sometimes in the future. Okay, I will save it. And let's say I have died by doing these things, and then people will say, okay, this guy was really miserable and throughout his life he was very, very sad, morose, depressed, and then he died. So he died really, really, so it's a very horrible death, I would say. So I mean, it shouldn't happen to anyone. I mean, the next thing what we can understand is realizing that it's really connected to the previous point, is realizing that joy is your original nature. Because we then, in order to express that, then we have to go back to all the way, like when we were a child. When we were a child, without caring, thinking, we were laughing, jumping, crying. I mean, all we are, all around. And then slowly, when we were put into education system, and because of that, our facial expression, mindset, psychological, pattern, everything got changed. Now we are the more education we are getting, the more educated we are becoming, the more sad we are becoming. Right? So we're all the time full of anxiety. And so people give them the name so that they can become comfortable with all this. Essentially, that means you are going against your nature. So there's almost 72 names for this stress, anxiety, all kinds of, there are medical scientific names. Essentially, these names means that we are becoming so comfortable, and we are getting, social approval that, okay, this is okay to live in a such a, but this is not. Look at the child, his nature. So he's also a human being. So our nature was supposed to be like this, and we were born like this. But after, like I said, all the societal changes, every single action we took just went against us, it seems like. Next point is like a tool, you can say, seeing that being joyful is our fundamental responsibility. Because if you're not responsibility, it doesn't mean that physically doing something for someone, for yourself, or for family, for society, country, nation. No, it's probably looking at ourselves and acknowledging that 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 I can be responsible even emotionally, in my emotional level. I can also respond to something. Ability to respond, it has to be, there shouldn't be any boundary. It has to be limitless. We can emotionally, at least, being able to respond to something. Something happened in my life in the past. It went wrong. Maybe something happened in your society or something. So it's basically physically, instead of less physical, more psychological, more emotional. So once we take the responsibility, that means living a peaceful life or becoming joyful within me. It's my own responsibility. Once I do that, that means I'm checking this off every single day after waking up. So there is a book on this, like, so it says about the, again, it's about the yogic prospect. So if one individual, can, from since morning, let's say, if he or she can maintain the 22 minutes being in joyful or peaceful state of mind, then it is really really only 24 minutes, and so it's like not 24 hours. So it's really really inevitable that the individual will be having a high sense of joy throughout the day. And if the person can manage to continue that thing, then it's becoming a joyful being. It's like, again, it's inevitably, it's true, it will happen. Like, the next tool, he's saying, like, putting everything into perspective, whatever we discussed so far, putting everything into perspective. It's not keeping anything for tomorrow. Like right now, we are doing it. Like there is a maybe a thought or maybe an let's say emotion within me, which basically determines my experience right now. And that thought and emotion may have, it could be a limited identity, and it could be really unlimited. So we have to pay attention to that. If there is something, limited, self-limiting belief, which can be, self-sabotaging, and rather than that, we can also go to on the flip side. Flip side, there could be a possibility, right? It could, instead of destroying us, it could bring some possibility within us. So we need to pay attention to that. So that's why putting everything into perspective is really, really essential. And seeing that the mind is for what it is. Because, like, when I say my mind, actually is basically, it's not my mind. My mind means the impressions and the situations which we went through since ever since we were born. So like our the five senses we have, the visual apparatus, and then the different phases of life throughout the society, whatever we went through. So these are basically all the informations we have. All these we are calling them as our mind, or like myself. So these are basically accumulation of the information and the impressions that I have gathered. And yes, they are really really useful in order to survive in this physical world, doing something physically in this world. But it has nothing to do with my, when it comes to my mental peace or psychological well-being. So we need to keep that gap, like I said in the beginning: body, mind, energy. So once we have a gap between them, and we can identify, okay, this is mind, this is body, we can keep a little bit gap, and this thing will come how? Through yogic practices, through sadhana. There is no other pill, so that I mean, there is no manufacturing company right now, and so if there was, then you can pop it. No, there's no pill, so you have to do it every single day. And moving from psychological existential to the psychological drama to the existential reality. That means right now everything we have made in our mind, and that yes, creation is like that. No, it's like every single day when you're waking up. Let's say you had a bad sleep, but once you wake up, then you have the independence, you have the choice, making this day very very fruitful. Waking up, coming out of the right after coming out of the bed, rub your hand, like the electrostatic charge you have, put them in your eyes. Then you will feel a little bit relaxed, active. Come out of the bed. If you have a temple inside the house, go there, bow down to the god. Then otherwise, coming out, going, looking at the nature, looking at the trees, anything, and keep that positivity within you. Keep that positivity. That it's not even a positivity. It's that the energy, the emotion within you. That means you, since the beginning of the day, you started, expressing yourself, looking at the sun, bowing down to him, not just feeling that there is a God sitting, no, just bowing down to them because it's the energy, because of that energy we are living. The world is happening. Trees are being able to alive, trees are alive. That is the reason we are alive. So this kind of this is existential reality. Nothing to do with it got nothing to do with my psychological drama which I'm manufacturing, whether how much money I have to pay, how much money I have to earn, then my girlfriend, boyfriend, family, husband, wife, all kinds of situations. No, it's nothing to do with them. So just need to understand this suffering coming out from this suffering. This is one of the easiest way. Next tool, he has mentioned about the smile. Like I said, when you're waking up early in the morning, coming out of the bed, having a small smile, that smile, keep that smile. I also give the analogy about the 24 minutes being in that state. So if you can maintain that, maybe smiling, keeping that happiness within you for 24 minutes early in the morning, you're doing that, it's going to be inevitably throughout the day for you, only for yourself. Don't think about your family and other ones. No, just fixing myself is very important. Society is accumulation of individuals, right? Individuals, then individual societies coming up in becoming a province, then nation. So it's just if you go very deep down in the root level, it's just we're going to deal with the individual, need to just fix the individual. Less after waking up, check up your loved ones. Are they alive or not? Because every single day, close to 160 to 200 thousands people are dying naturally. It's a natural death, regardless of age, regardless of the medical condition. They are dying naturally. So if you came out of the bed alive, that's why I said rub it, put this electrostatic charge on your face, coming out, and then check with them if they're also alive. Then this is a good day. Go out, look at the nature, bowing down to the sun. This is definitely a good day. Don't get crumbled with the psychological thoughts are coming. Maybe it's the last night's manufactured one. Just keep reminding yourself to smile, and it's going to helpful. It's definitely these tools are really essential and important for the person who is going through this. Of course, for them because they are going more psychological through the psychological trauma than us, because fighting such disease like this and cancer is not easy thing. The person who is going under, that family member, they know it. So I am being alive and you are being alive. This is the most significant thing. This is the most the existential reality we should pay attention to, rather than having just getting entangled with all these the psychological thing, the society's drama we have. And this is the last tool which he has emphasized. These are the tools is going to transform us from the within. Of course, we need to include yogic practices, sadhana. The more sadhana you do, the more kriyas. Maybe you got initiated into some kriyas. There are many individuals came from the West. So in this book, in this second part, I'm going to cover the testimonies about it, how people felt it, and what was their experience. And they were also in touch with their regular modern medication treatment for their cancer. And but in consultation with their doctor suggested, okay, if this is working, carry on. And then how they felt it, how they fully recovered, and now right now they're living a very normal life like us. So in the next part two, I'm going to cover that. So these were the almost few tools which I thought it will be really beneficial for everybody. It's not like those who are suffering; it's for us as well. We can also take care of, and we can also pass this information to our loved one in the family, so that we don't have to go through this thing. These are the basic few tools we can take care of them in our everyday life. I hope you find this video helpful. If yes, then please do follow, like, subscribe, and your help is really appreciated.